What is up, Posy people? Frank here. You're watching the Super Posy Show, and oh my goodness, Marvel fans rejoice because Luke Cage, the brand new Netflix original series, has released this weekend. You know what I'm talking about. Just yesterday, Luke Cage, the new TV show in the same vein of Jessica Jones and Daredevil, was released, and I am so excited to get into it. I stayed up pretty much all night last night, marathoning the entire first season. I just finished it earlier today, and I am so excited to share my thoughts about it with you guys. So, let's dive right into it, shall we? Overall, first impressions, this show is very entertaining. It definitely has a lot of similar thematic elements to its predecessors, Jessica Jones and Daredevil, but brings a lot to the table and touches on a lot of political and social issues, which I was a little concerned about when I first heard about it in February, because I don't really like a whole lot of political and social statements tied into my television. I like to just be able to watch the TV and get lost in a world that doesn't remind me of the world I currently live in, because let's face it, guys, it gets kind of rough sometimes. However, I think the statements made on the show actually made a lot of sense in this environment, and they also were surprisingly empowering. So let's get down to it. There are very obvious odes to police brutality and to African American empowerment in this show. In fact, Mike Coulter, the star of the show who plays Luke Cage, specifically stated that Luke Cage's hoodie, which is kind of his calling card, his signature look, if you will, is a reference to Trayvon Martin. Now, I think that a bulletproof superhero wearing a Trayvon Martin hoodie sends a certain message of empowerment and a certain message of hope. How I kind of interpret it is, yes, police brutality can take the life of an individual, but it can't take the life of the heart and soul of a community and of a culture. It can't diminish the flames of progress and the flames of achievement, because there are just so many fantastic pieces of art and so many fantastic intellectual minds that have come out of this community, and no matter what happens, you can't stifle that. And I think this show does a really great job reminding people of that. They make several references in the show to the new Harlem Renaissance, which, if you are aware of American history, is a reference to the original Harlem Renaissance, which happened in the 1920s. It brought about a huge cultural and artistic shift in America, and a lot of big band and a lot of swing artists that are very, very well known today, a lot of jazz artists as well, were products of this Renaissance. It was a very proud and very creative time for African Americans in this country. And I think that is definitely something that this television show is very centered on. It's centered on not forgetting where you came from, not forgetting your roots, and it's about being empowered by that and being willing to stand up for your history, your legacy, the legacy of those that came before you. And like I said, normally I don't really like political agendas, political messages in my television, but I think that a superhero like Luke Cage is a superhero that America really needs. I think the messages being brought forth in this television show are ones that we need to hear, because sometimes we lose sight of what's important and what we stand for and what we're passionate about. I think this show really kind of brings that into the forefront of anybody who's watching its mind, which is why I think that no matter who you are, where you come from, you can find something you appreciate with this show, because although there are obvious focal points as far as issues in the show are concerned, I feel like there's something that everybody can relate to here. And I think that that's important. All that aside, I do want to talk about some other things that were done very well in this show, starting with the acting. Simone Missick, she's actually a newcomer to television. She plays Misty Knight in this television series, and I think she does a fantastic job. She's kind of the cop torn between the law, whether or not she trusts the system, whether or not she wants to keep doing her job or, follow the footsteps of this vigilante. Of course, if you read the comics, you know that she does eventually kind of follow Luke Cage's footsteps and, become a hero for hire, essentially. But nonetheless, playing a character who's torn between what they've known their whole life and this new thing that makes more sense to them, but they're afraid to fully latch onto. It's a difficult thing to portray as an actor, and I think this actress does a great job at that, so props to her. Of course, Mike Coulter's back. He played Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. He did a fantastic job there, and he's back, and he has his own show now, so he has even more room to spread his wings and showcase his acting talents, which is why I'm really excited for the things to come for this show. The music and cinematography was fantastic as well. They have a lot of really great early 90s African-American artists to provide some of the music for this movie, and they pull a lot from the big band and swing genres, which is to be expected since they are paying tribute to the original Harlem Renaissance that happened in the 1920s. I would describe the cinematography as kind of a cross between film noir and a 70s police drama. It has a lot of very interesting stylistic undertones, but they work with the music and with the issues presented in the show. So all in all, I'd say it comes together as a really well structured interweaving of various iconic and notable points in African American culture, specifically the movements that came out of New York City and Harlem. All in all, I'd give this show 4.5 me's out of 5. It was absolutely fantastic. If you like the Marvel series on Netflix, you're gonna like these. Even if you don't watch those shows, there's so much here that I would recommend this to literally everyone. There's so much great story, there's so much culture. The cinematography is just beautiful. The acting is great. Just watch the show. Seriously. Just watch the show and you'll understand. I mean, there's a reason why I literally watched almost all of it in one sitting and didn't stop. I literally stopped to sleep for a few hours and eat breakfast before I went back to it and finished the whole series. So just check it out. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for listening. What do you think about Luke Cage if you've already seen it? If you haven't, what are you excited to see in the show? Leave all that stuff in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. But thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I'm Frank Telesca, and stay posy. Bye.